The Mahindra XUV 7XO has been around for 4 months now. The launch dust has settled and the brochure promises have been put to road test. And most of you buyers are now asking questions that actually matter. How much does it really return in the real world? Not the ARI figures, but the ones that you will see in everyday usage. Now we have tested the both diesel manual and the diesel automatic in city and highway to give you the answers. Not just that, we'll also tell you things that we observed with the car which you will not find in any brochure. Now before we get into the numbers, let's do a quick spec check. Now this one gets a 2.2 litre turbo diesel engine that produces 182 bhp. Now it has two gearbox on options and both differ in terms of torque. The manual gets 420 Nm while the automatic gets 450 Nm. Now there are also 4 drive modes to choose from: zip, zap, zoom, and also a newly added custom drive mode. Also coming to the weight, because here the context really matters and there is quite a lot of difference. The automatic here tips the scale at 1930 kgs and the manual weighs 1850 kilos. And the difference you will know in a moment when we give you the real world numbers. Now before we get into the figures, here's exactly how we conduct our real world mileage test, because the method matters as much as the result. We tank the car up to the brim, set the drive mode to the default zap mode, air conditioning to 22 degrees with a fan speed of 2 to 3 and keep the idle start-stop function on. Infotainment and seat ventilation are used exactly as you would in regular daily driving, because that is the point. We then run the car through a predefined city loop followed by a highway loop, fuel up after each, and a simple calculation gives us the real world figure. Both tests, manual and automatic, were conducted in the same conditions with adequate traffic on the city loop and open stretches on the highway. No shortcuts and no ideal conditions. Now the 7XO diesel manual after our city and highway loop gave us 11.12 kmpl on the city and 20.4 while on the highway. Now the diesel automatic was marginally less with 9.64 kmpl on the city and 18.9 kmpl on the highway loop. Now Mahindra has not revealed official ARAI certified figures for this powertrain, so these real world numbers are the closest honest benchmark you will get. The manual, as expected, has a marginal edge, but the gap between the two is not dramatic. The automatic is close behind and both tell you a broadly positive story about efficiency or a car of this size and weight. Now when you stack these numbers as against the petrol-powered XUV 7XO, then the diesel in both gearbox options make a strong case for itself. In fact, if fuel economy is the only factor in your buying decision, then the diesel is an ideal choice. Now in the past few weeks, we have tested the XUV 7XO to notice certain things. Now the good kind of quirky, the head scratching quirky, and the ones that are simply missing. Let us run you through them. Firstly, a genuinely thoughtful safety feature. So every time you open this bonnet, the hazard light turns on automatically. Now it's a small thing, but in a country like ours where roadside breakdowns are a reality, it's something good to have, especially in this side of the segment. The wiper fluid tank gets its own mesh filter on the neck of the tank, primarily to keep the debris out of the reservoir. It's a feature we have mostly seen on premium cars, and the fact that it has made its way to the XUV 7XO is a small but telling sign of attention to detail. Now the omissions. The XUV 7XO does not get a power tailgate, no paddle shifters, and even a heads-up display. Now at this price point in this segment, that's really hard to overlook. The gloss panels around the gear lever, steering wheel and center console look premium at first glance, but they are a fingerprint and scratch magnet. If you're buying one, a PPF or protective cover early on is worth consideration. Here is an interesting trade-off. The top spec AX7L gets a 360-degree surround camera, which is great, but in getting that it loses the front parking sensors, which are limited only to the mid-spec variants. Having both on the higher variants would have been a more complete solution. The triple screen layout is a highlight of the XUV 7XO and it is standard right from the base variant. During the day, the passenger side screen even has a privacy filter visible from the driver's seat. At night, however, that filter does not work the same way and the screen becomes visible from the driver's seat, adding brightness and potential distraction exactly when you want the cabin to be calm. It's something Mahindra should look at addressing. Finally, a small but persistent quirk. The power window switches on the driver's door work in opposite direction to what feels natural. Push forward to lower, pull back to raise. Most drivers will reach for these on muscle memory and get it wrong at least a few times before adjusting it right. Now, if you have zeroed down on the XUV 7XO and want to know which variant makes the most sense for your money, head to carwale.com for variant-wise breakdown, features comparison and on-road prices in your city. But if you want to know our pick, here it is. The AX7 range starts at 18,48,000 rupees for the petrol manual and goes up to 20,40,000 for the diesel automatic showroom. It sits approximately 96,000 above the AX5 and that gap feels like a genuinely worthy spend. For that step up, you get 18-inch wheels, a power driver seat with memory function, a surround view camera, blind view monitor, 2-spoke steering wheel, dual zone climate control, auto headlamps, TPMS and a fair bit more. The AX5 then starts to feel noticeably bare by comparison. Now the next step up is the AX7T. Now that asks 2,04,000 more over the AX7 and that jump is for buyers who want ADAS, 16-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, cool front seats, an electronic parking brake, sequential turn indicators, smart door handles and wireless charging up front. If those features are on your must-have list, the AX7T earns its premium. But for most buyers, the AX7 hits the spot with enough features, right price and nothing left obviously missing. Under the hood of every SUV is an engine that works harder than most. Castrol Magnetic SUV is specifically designed for SUVs with proven technology that delivers 50% better heavy load protection. It clings to critical engine parts like a magnet, keeping your engine protected at all times. It's not just an engine oil, it's ultimate SUV protection. Now, if you are in the market to buy a 7-seater and the XUV 7XO is on your shortlist, there are certain alternatives to go cross-shopping. The Safari is the most direct rival and comes in at a slightly lower starting price. However, it is beginning to show its age, the interior quality is inconsistent, the diesel engine is on the louder side and it misses out on features the 7XO offers as standard, such as triple screen layout and all-wheel drive. The Hyundai Alcazar is the more premium option, a well-appointed cabin with most of the modern features covered and a refined overall experience. One area where it falls short is the third row, which feels noticeably cramped for adult occupants. Where the XUV 7XO pulls ahead of both is an outright performance. The 2.2-liter diesel with 182 bhp is the most powerful engine in this trio. Add to that the triple screen, AWD capability and a more feature-forward package and the Mahindra makes a strong case for itself in this space. Now the 7XO is a capable and well-equipped 7-seater when you look at all the options in the segment in the Indian market. Now the rear-wheel efficiency are honest and respectable with the manual having a marginal edge, but the diesel automatic, that's no slouch either. Now there are certain quirks and some of which Mahindra should really address, but none of them really fundamentally undermine what otherwise is a really strong package. Now if you want, the AX7 is where we will put our money on. And if you are still weighing your options in the segment, we have already listed all the options that you could have in this segment. Now for more detailed reviews, comparisons, news and ownership stories of the 7XO, subscribe now to CarWale and we'll see you in the next one.